Going away with my ex, don't get jealous, winky face. That was the message. 7 words and a smug emoji that detonated something I didn't even realize was wired to blow. I was standing in the kitchen, scraping dog food into a ceramic bowl I bought at a farmer's market last year. Because she said the metal ones made too much noise. That's the kind of man I was. The kind who changed the sound of a feeding dish to keep the peace. The kind who got replaced by a winky face. I stood there staring at it for a good minute. The spoon hung in the air, slow drip of wet kibble sliding off like it knew this was the last normal second of my life. And maybe I knew it too, because I didn't pace. I didn't shout. I didn't call her. I just replied, "I won't be here when you return." Then set the phone down like it was radioactive. The dog nudged my shin, tail wagging like it always did at feeding time. I whispered, "You're coming with me, bud," and reached for my laptop. Folder, contingency, not hidden, not encrypted, just dormant. A quiet little insurance policy I built one exhausted night 2 years ago after I found a receipt for a hotel room crumpled behind the dryer. Her name was on it. So was a note. "Sorry I left early. You looked peaceful." She told me it was a business seminar. I told her I believed her. But I opened this folder that night, and then never closed the idea. Now I clicked it open like it was muscle memory. Inside, a spreadsheet, some scanned PDFs, a scanned copy of the home title, and a contact list of people I hadn't spoken to in years but never deleted. I poured myself a bourbon, just one, and started making arrangements. Because this wasn't jealousy. This wasn't betrayal. This was closure. Hers was flippant. Mine would be surgical. And in case you're wondering why a guy like me would go through all this trouble for a woman who clearly stopped caring years ago, I'll tell you. It wasn't for her. It was because I had a mirror. And I was done seeing a man in it who let himself be reduced to background noise in his own damn life. She thought I'd rage. She thought I'd beg. She thought I'd ask which ex. The one who cheated on her in college? Or the one who showed up at our Christmas party pretending not to remember me? Cute. Real cute. Instead, I packed. Deliberately. I didn't clear the closet. I just made enough space that she'd notice something missing. Not everything. The silence would scream louder than any tantrum. And if you've gotten this far, don't forget, over 97% of people reading or listening never subscribe. But it helps us more than you think, and motivates the team to bring you even sharper stories like this. Consider hitting that button. Quiet support, big difference. I moved with the steadiness of a man who'd waited long enough. Took my birth certificate, my backup drive, the metal lockbox from the closet floor she never knew was bolted to the beam. I even left the coffee machine because it was mine, and I wanted her to use it, stand there half asleep, and realize the beans she liked were gone. At 2:37 a.m., I walked out, not with vengeance, not even sadness, just a dog leash in one hand, and a new SIM card in the other. And one quiet thought I let echo in the stairwell behind me. You wanted me to be jealous. But I don't play games with people who think I'm disposable. I play endings. She woke up late, as usual, squinting at the sun peeking through the blackout curtains. Her hand reached across the bed out of habit. Empty. The sheets were cool. She figured I'd taken the dog for a walk. Maybe gone to get groceries. No big deal. Then she noticed my side of the closet. Half empty. The watch box gone. The gray leather dop kit that sat untouched for months. Missing. My books were still there, but the bookmarks were gone like someone had closed the last chapter and moved on. That's when she spotted the card on her nightstand. Cream-colored. No envelope. No signature. Just 6 words. Handwritten in steady block print. "Enjoy your trip." She smirked. Actually smirked. Picked it up like it was some kind of joke and rolled her eyes. Later, she'd tell her girlfriends on the flight. "He left a card like he's the one storming out. It's just his little tantrum." Cue the fake sympathy, the cackles over airplane prosecco, and one of them asking, "Wait, which ex are you going to see again?" She just winked. Across town, I was unpacking in a suite I rented under a different name. One of the names I kept on standby from before we got married, when I freelanced for clients who paid in crypto and asked no questions. The suite wasn't flashy, but it had 2 things I needed: privacy and a secure wired connection. I didn't use my main phone. I powered on a flip phone I hadn't touched in 5 years. No apps, just numbers. It buzzed as soon as it connected, 3 new voicemails. All from people I hadn't talked to in a while, but who knew exactly what this number meant. Reactivation, not of friendships, of old roles. I wasn't going to need all of them, but I wanted options. The guy who helped me set up the trust fund before the wedding texted. The old roommate who became a paralegal called. The IT guy from my last firm who owed me a favor pinged on an encrypted channel. None of this was revenge. Revenge is reactive. This was proactive. The kind of move you only make if you've accepted that some people see your kindness as leverage. That no matter how many small humiliations you swallowed, like her flirting at parties or comparing you to guys who take more risks, they were always tallying up what you'd let them get away with next. The apartment we shared, technically mine. I was on the deed. Her name wasn't. That was always the plan. She wanted a Pinterest wedding. I wanted an exit route. I'd booked a P.O. box across town months ago. That's where new bank cards were already being routed. I'd already changed my Netflix password, petty maybe, but effective. She'd be 2 margaritas deep before realizing her Friday night background noise was gone. I even deleted myself from our shared calendar. No more pick-up dry cleaning, no therapy 5:30, no dinner with her boss. I wiped my name from every plan she made that assumed I'd be there in the background, supporting cast in a story she'd already rewritten without me. The dog slept at my feet, belly full, unaware of the tectonic shift. Or maybe not. Dogs always know when peace returns to a room. I didn't cry, didn't gloat. I opened the burner laptop, logged into my private drive, and reviewed the schedule I'd labeled postscript. Phase 1 was complete. She thought I ghosted. Cute. But no, sweetheart. I'm not a ghost. I'm a vacuum. And you're about to find out what it feels like when everything you leaned on vanishes without a sound. She was 3 cocktails in and halfway through an overpriced scallop entree when the waiter leaned in awkwardly and said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. Your card didn't go through." First she laughed. A breezy, tipsy chuckle like it was all some adorable mix-up. "Try it again. This place has thick walls. Probably messed with the chip." She waved it off. Kept laughing with her ex, an aging personal trainer with 3 ex-wives and a tattoo of his own name in Gothic script. "Classy." He smirked. "You sure your husband didn't cut you off?" She snorted. He wouldn't dare. But the waiter came back again, this time with more awkwardness, less charm. "Still declined, ma'am. And the system says it's flagged. Possible freeze request." Now the laughter started to wilt. She pulled out her phone and opened her banking app. It didn't load. She tried again, spinning wheel. "Connection's crap in here," she mumbled. Then tried the backup card. Same result. It wasn't until she stepped outside into the humid night air, heels clicking down the marble steps, that it fully hit her. The login screen was asking security questions she didn't remember setting. And the red banner read, "Account restricted. Contact your financial institution." She called the bank. The hold music played. And played. Then a chipper voice finally came through. "Hello. This is Amy from Client Services. How may I assist?" "I'm locked out of my account," she snapped. "Can you reset the security?" "I'm afraid I can't discuss the account with you. You've been removed as an authorized party." "Excuse me. There's a notation here. Legal reassignment of financial counsel. You'll need to speak with the trustee." "What trustee?" "I'm his wife." Silence. Then, "Ma'am, the accounts are being handled under the authority of a revocation clause filed last year. I suggest you consult your attorney." She hung up mid-sentence. Then dialed my number. Straight to voicemail. Not phone off. Not number disconnected. Just deliberate silence. The kind that doesn't scream, it waits. 10 minutes later, standing on the curb outside the restaurant, still holding her dead card like it might resuscitate itself, her phone buzzed. Forwarded message. Subject, Power of Attorney, Revocation. From Redacted Legal Group to her full name. Date filed 8 months prior. Status, executed. New counsel assigned. Mr. Frank Dillard, ESQ. Attached. A scanned, notarized revocation form, dated, filed, and signed, with my initials. Not hers. She stared at it like it might disappear if she blinked fast enough. She tried logging into the mortgage portal, error. Then the DMV, her name now secondary on the car title. Not primary, not controlling. And the insurance policy, new login, new beneficiary. She called her ex again, barely masking her spiraling mood. "Hey, I think my accounts got hacked or something. Can I borrow?" He cut her off. "I'm not getting involved in that. Call me when it's sorted." Click. And just like that, even her backup plan flaked. She went back to the hotel room they were sharing. 4-star coastal view, king bed, infinity pool, and slammed the door behind her. Pulled the curtains shut. Sat on the edge of the bed like a bomb had gone off. Because it had. Only, the blast didn't come with flames or broken glass. Just a slow, sinking silence. She hadn't lost access. She already lost it. Days ago. Quietly. While she laughed at her own cruelty. Toasted to freedom. And thought the man she left behind was too weak. Too boring. Too predictable. To do anything but sulk and wait for her to come back. But this wasn't a reaction. This was a blueprint. And the next page was already turning. She got back on a Tuesday, sun-kissed and humming to herself in the Uber from the airport. Oversized sunglasses, fresh gel manicure, a tote full of souvenir crap for people she hadn't actually thought about the entire trip. The kind of woman who thinks 2 piña coladas and a beach massage can erase a marriage-sized mess. She was even rehearsing a smug little speech, something about taking space and finding herself. As if she were a damn self-help book wrapped in passive aggression. She expected a cold husband, a bitter sulk, maybe even a pathetic attempt at guilt-tripping. She was ready for that performance. What she wasn't ready for was the key not working. She stood in front of the door, jiggling it like the lock was broken. Checked the address like maybe she hallucinated the last 6 years of her life. Then pulled out the spare from the fake rock in the planter. Inserted. Twisted. Nothing. She cursed under her breath. Knocked. Rang the bell. The dog didn't bark. Lights didn't flicker. She texted me, "Hey, I'm home. Can you open the door?" Then waited. 5 minutes. 10. Nothing. She started calling. First me. Straight to voicemail. Then Chris, my best friend since college. The same guy who'd helped us move into that house. Who grilled with us on weekends and once loaned her money when she lost her wallet on a Vegas girls trip. No answer. She tried again. Voicemail. She called my sister next. The one she always low-key resented because she saw through the fake smiles. The one who used to pull me aside at holidays and say, "You sure about her?" This time someone picked up. Barely audible. "Hello. Hey, can you please tell him to let me in? My key's not working and I don't know what's going on and I've been traveling all day and..." My sister cut her off. "Have you talked to a lawyer?" "What? You need to talk to a lawyer." Then silence. And the line went dead. She blinked, staring at the phone like it betrayed her. Her support network. Gone. Disappeared. Like they'd been briefed and signed NDAs. Because they had, in their own way. Chris hadn't just ghosted. He'd sent me a text the night I left. "Anything you need. I've got you." And meant it. My sister? She was the one who notarized the trust documents. She knew. She'd always known. Even the damn neighbor, old Mr. Carson who usually waved from his porch, turned his chair slightly when she walked up and muttered, "Looks like someone's summer plans changed." She stood on the porch for 2 hours. Sat on her suitcase like a refugee from a life she once controlled. Tried calling her mom, no answer. Her cousin? "I'm really busy right now." She called the locksmith. They arrived, checked the ID, made a call, and came back with the same answer. "We're not authorized to assist with this property." Her ex, the one she just vacationed with, didn't pick up either. Probably back with the other woman. Or maybe just smart enough to know when a ship is sinking and it's time to swim the other way. She ended up in a hotel downtown that night. Not the suite. A regular room. Credit card finally went through, her backup bank, the one she never mentioned to me. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, still smelling like ocean salt and overpriced sunscreen. She wasn't locked out of the house. She was locked out of the narrative. And for the first time, she started to understand. This silence wasn't neglect. It was choreography. She was still clinging to the idea that this was a phase. Tantrum. Punishment. That maybe I'd cool off. Let her back in, and we'd go through one of those ridiculous therapy weekends where she'd cry about being smothered. And I'd nod through it like a neutered Labrador. She even told herself she might feel generous and let me come home, if I apologized right. Instead, what she got was a knock on her hotel door at 9:12 a.m. sharp. A courier stood outside. Polite. Suit, tie, clipboard. Delivery for Ms. Harland. No emotion. No eye contact. He handed her a slim, matte black binder with no return address. Just her name embossed across the front in silver foil. Inside, paper. Real, heavy, legally binding paper. On top, notification of marital separation. Signed and filed with the county registrar 3 weeks before she sent her little beach emoji text. Next, revocation of joint property rights. It wasn't just that her name was off the deed, it had never been on it. The amendment merely clarified that moving forward, no assumed equity claims could be made on furnishings, renovations, or resale. Behind that, a statement of intent. Filed, notarized, backdated, reviewed by counsel. The language was surgical. All efforts to mediate the breakdown of this union have been exhausted. Party A has documented attempts at reconciliation. Party B has demonstrated repeated disinterest in shared growth or financial transparency. Every page had a date on it. Every date preceded her trip. This wasn't rage. This wasn't reaction. This was foundation work, quietly poured while she was too busy looking elsewhere. Tucked into the inner flap was a small yellow sticky note. 5 words. You left. I just followed. That's when her breath hitched. Not because of what was written, but how calmly it was written. Not scrawled in anger, just neatly printed, centered on the page like a label on a specimen. She flipped the binder upside down, hoping for some missing piece. A clue, a loophole, something to prove it was all bluff. Instead, she found a spreadsheet printed on linen paper, the kind used in court exhibits. Every dollar I'd spent on her since 2016. Categorized, color-coded, with receipts, vacations, jewelry, rent before we bought the house, her mother's emergency dental work, her bar exam prep course, even though she dropped out after 2 months. Each tab had a name. Gifts, no repayment expected. Joint assets, mine. Assumed debts, hers. Charity disguised as partnership. She skipped to the last page. There, in bold, total unrecouped cost, $178,440.17. She dropped the binder. That's when it hit her, finally, truly, that this wasn't some bitter husband melting down because she flirted with her ex. This was a man who had already accepted the end before she ever boarded the plane. A man who watched the candle burn out long ago and didn't blow on the smoke. She called her mother. Voicemail. Then her old roommate, the one who never liked me. He sent me legal crap, she cried. He's making me look crazy. The reply was brutal. Maybe stop acting surprised. You did what you did. Now he's doing what he does. She hung up, slumped to the edge of the bed, hands trembling. This wasn't a rupture. This was documentation. She wasn't being erased. She'd signed the blank space herself. And now she was watching her own signature fade under someone else's pen. It was her last stronghold. The one place she was sure I wouldn't touch. The firm. Our boutique consulting agency. Her baby. Her brand. Her proof to the world that she wasn't just a wife. She clung to it like it validated her choices, especially the messy ones. When people raised eyebrows about her late nights and flirtatious networking, she'd flash that office like a badge. See? I built something. I matter. So she marched in that Thursday morning like nothing was wrong. Hair curled, nude heels clicking, designer bag slung just right. She still had the gall to hum as she entered, like she expected applause. The company name was still on the glass. H&R Strategy Group. Harland and Roth. That's me. Our shared name. Our shared venture. Except the end was just a smudge now. Just a ghost of what used to be. The receptionist. Abby, sweet girl, fresh out of college, froze when she walked in. Eyes darted. Posture stiffened. Morning, my wife beamed. Can you tell Jacob I need the deck from last quarter? Abby cleared her throat. Mrs. Harland, Jacob doesn't work here anymore. He resigned Monday. Her eyes narrowed. That's absurd. He's the lead on the Thurston project. Why wouldn't he tell me? A pause. Abby stood, shakily handed her a white envelope. Inside, a formal memorandum. Legal letterhead. Document title. Transfer of full ownership and operational control. Filed. Sealed. Notarized. 1 week prior. To whom? To me. Below that, notice of reassignment, departmental oversight and building lease authority. And under that, vacancy request. Premises must be cleared of non-contracting personnel by Friday at 5 p.m. She blinked. There has to be a mistake. I'm a partner. I'm the reason this place exists. Abby didn't answer, just looked at the security guard near the elevator. He stepped forward, not menacing, just ready. I've put in years. I built the client list, I ran the first 6 campaigns myself, I trained half the team. Abby finally spoke. Not on paper. For words. Quiet. Mechanical. But they hit like a freight train. Because she knew it was true. She'd insisted on informality. Why make it messy with contracts? She used to say when I offered to sign the partnership over. We're a team. She wanted her hands free while my name took on the liability. Turns out that works both ways. I'd updated the articles of incorporation 2 months ago. Shifted executive control. Reorganized operations under a holding LLC. Something we joked about years back but never filed. I filed it. Alone. She stormed into her office. The one she called her sanctuary. Only to find her computer replaced. Her framed diplomas stacked in a box. And her credentials already revoked from the network. Even her personalized mousepad gone. She yanked open the file cabinet. Empty. Tried logging in on her phone. Credentials denied. And the final gut punch? The clients stayed. No angry emails. No loyalty parade. No one shouting, "Where's the vision behind this place?" Because the vision was never hers. It was dressed up in her style, sure. But I handled the contracts, the taxes, the legal footnotes, the trademark filings, the insurance, the investor decks, the compliance issues, the actual bones of the operation. She designed the office and took selfies in the good light. That's it. And now, she stood in a place she thought she owned, surrounded by people who no longer made eye contact. Her heels silent against carpet that suddenly didn't feel like hers. At 5:02 p.m. the next day, security escorted her to the elevator. She asked one final question, voice cracking. Did he really plan all this? The guard didn't answer. He just handed her another envelope. Inside, one item, a copy of her text. Going away with my ex, don't get jealous, winky face, stapled to a post-it note in my handwriting. I wasn't jealous. I was working. The envelope was thick, expensive. That kind of unnerving weight you only feel with lawsuits or luxury. It showed up at her hotel desk in a navy sleeve, hand-delivered by courier. No sender listed, just her name, embossed in silver. She nearly tossed it. But the handwriting on the label, it was familiar. Not mine, but familiar. My assistant, maybe. Or the event planner she once mocked for being too efficient. Inside, an invitation. One night only gala. Private donor circle. Venue? The Atrium. A place she once said had tacky art and overpriced cocktails. Which meant, of course, she loved it. She read it twice. The event was tied to a foundation she vaguely remembered me mentioning years ago. Some niche scholarship program I had helped fund during my first real promotion. She'd rolled her eyes at the time. Said it was sentimental overkill for a guy with no kids. She stared at the RSVP line. Already checked, yes. Stamped with my initials. At first she thought, mistake. Maybe they forgot to remove her from the mailing list. Or worse, maybe it was a passive-aggressive flex. A way to make her beg, confront, be seen. She got dressed anyway. Spent 2 hours in the mirror applying war paint disguised as makeup. Picked the red dress. Not the classy one, the memorable one. She wanted attention. She wanted confusion. She wanted me to see her and flinch. She arrived fashionably late. On purpose. Imagining that cinematic moment where the doors part and every head turns. Including mine. Instead, the host at the check-in table looked at her with polite confusion. Name? She gave it. Oh, 1 second. The woman flipped through her binder. Then checked a tablet. You're not on the confirmed list. But you do have a placeholder. Guest status. Unconfirmed. You can still attend, but we'll seat you in the gallery section. Gallery. Toward the back. She was handed a name tag. It didn't even have her last name. Just Harland. Guest. Unconfirmed. She swallowed whatever fire she wanted to spit. Smiled with her teeth. Walked past the lobby full of investors, board members, photographers. All faces she vaguely recognized but who didn't look up. Then she saw me. At the head table. Gray suit. No tie. Clean lines. Calm posture. Surrounded. To my right. The CFO of a firm we once pitched to together. To my left. A state rep whose campaign she used to belittle as too Midwest. They were laughing. I wasn't watching her. Wasn't scanning the crowd for a woman in red. I didn't flinch, didn't glance, didn't recognize. Because she was irrelevant. She took her seat at a round table by the emergency exit, behind a structural pillar that blocked most of the stage. No wine service. No place card. Just a pre-printed menu with 3 crossed-out dishes, already picked over by confirmed guests. When the lights dimmed, I walked on stage. Polished. Warm. Spoke for 7 minutes about legacy, impact, second chances. She gripped her glass tighter with every word. The man she discarded was now a donor of record. A name on the wall. A keynote. No bitterness. No pettiness. Just absence. Like she'd never existed. Afterward, as the crowd applauded and cameras flashed, she moved closer to the stage, pretending to check her phone, hoping I'd catch her out of the corner of my eye. I didn't, because I wasn't looking. When the event ended, she lingered in the lobby. Maybe I'd come by, say something cold, offer a nod, acknowledge. But I slipped out through the service entrance 10 minutes before the lights came up. Backstage pass. VIP protocol. She stayed until the staff began folding chairs. And when she left, heels echoing in an empty parking garage, she realized something she'd never considered. It wasn't that I hated her. It was worse. I didn't see her anymore. And nothing terrifies a woman like her more than becoming invisible. She got back to the hotel late, red dress wrinkled, lipstick faded, heels dangling from one hand like trophies no one asked to see. Her phone was nearly dead. She plugged it in beside the bed, collapsed backward onto the mattress, and stared at the ceiling tiles as if they owed her an explanation. They didn't. The entire evening had been a punch in the throat. Not because I yelled. Not because I humiliated her. But because I didn't see her. And for someone like her, that was more brutal than any courtroom or shoutfest. She wasn't used to irrelevance. She was used to reactions. To men bending, chasing, yelling, bleeding. But tonight, she realized I had nothing left to give her. Not even the dignity of attention. That's when the phone buzzed. 1:12 a.m. A single message lit up the screen. Going away with peace of mind. Don't get jealous, winky face. She sat bolt upright. It was her message. Word for word. Same smug tone. Same emoji. But this time mirrored. Not with my ex. Just with peace of mind. The punctuation twist of a man who didn't care where she was going, because he already wasn't following. Her breath caught. She opened the message thread. Heart pounding. It wasn't from my number. It was from an automated system. MSGR SPNDR. Legal Notice Delivery Engine. Set to send at this exact time. Timestamped. Logged. Registered to the same holding LLC that now owned the house, the car, the office lease. She scrolled up. Previous messages weren't there. Just this one. Because it wasn't part of a conversation. It was a statement. Pre-programmed. Scheduled. Triggered. She checked the metadata in a panic. Buried deep in the system message was a log. Scheduled 10 days ago. 10 days ago. That was before she ever left for her little beach escape. Before the selfie in the airport bar. Before the accidental tan line she posted to bait my friends. Before the humiliating card decline. Before the locks. Before the binder. Before the firm. This wasn't reaction. This was timeline control. She clutched the phone to her chest like it might stop the building nausea. For the first time, her brain caught up to what had been happening in the background. I wasn't improvising. I was executing. Each step had been measured, sequenced, triggered, not by rage, but by a machine she built with her arrogance and I weaponized with my silence. She checked her email. An hour earlier, she'd received another one. Subject line. Automated closure. Phase 3 executed. No body text. No attachments. Just the signature. Roth Legal Custodial Services. You left. We followed. Her hands shook. She scrolled through every old message, every thread. The more she looked, the more she saw the pattern. The conversations that had dried up. The group chats that had gone silent. The invitations that stopped arriving. The names that no longer appeared in her notifications. This wasn't fallout. It was scrubbing. A quiet system reset line by line, until the version of her that used to be important was erased from the network. And the worst part? There was no one to yell at. No one to confront. No room to scream. Just automated replies, polite legalese, and digital execution. I didn't block her. I ghost cached her. And the only thing more painful than being left behind is realizing you were replaced by a script. A better one. She showed up at the county clerk's office in oversized sunglasses and a hoodie like she was hiding from paparazzi. In reality, no one there knew who she was. Not the clerk. Not the assistant. Not the woman 2 chairs over filing for a name change. She wasn't a scandal. She was just nobody. She asked for a property deed search. Gave the address. Spelled it out twice. The clerk typed, frowned, clicked a few more times. That property is owned by a private trust. Name on file is Harland Residual Custodial Fund. Trustee listed as Roth Custodial Services, LLC. She blinked. I'm the wife. This is my house. The clerk gave her that bland government smile people reserve for drama they can't be paid to care about. Ma'am, there's no ownership under your name. You're not listed as a beneficiary. Do you have power of attorney? She didn't. Not anymore. The clerk slid the paper across the counter anyway. She stared at the name of the trust. Filed 2 years ago. Activated 3 weeks before her trip. Trigger clause. Dissolution of cohabitation or marital breakdown. She left the building and drove straight to the law office next door. Same story. Nothing in her name. No claim. No standing. Then she tried animal control. That was her low point. Because the dog, our dog, the one who used to curl up next to her legs on Sunday afternoons, was gone too. Not missing. Just gone. She demanded answers. They told her calmly the pet had been legally registered to me since day one. Vet records. Microchip. All under my name. All moved to a new address. Confidential, per my updated privacy designation. That's when she started crying. In the lobby. In front of strangers. Ugly, loud sobs. She sat there for a long time before pulling herself together and driving to the last place she thought might still take her seriously. My brother's house. She hadn't spoken to him in months. Mostly because she always found him too blunt. Too honest. The kind of man who didn't laugh at her jokes or pretend to like her seasonal throw pillows. She rang the bell like she was begging the universe for an ally. He opened the door. Didn't invite her in. Just stood there, arms crossed, waiting. She started talking before he could speak. I don't know what he's told everyone, but this isn't fair. He's frozen everything. My accounts. My life. I can't access anything. The house. The car. He took the dog. Why is he doing this to me? Silence. Then finally he spoke. Calm. Measured. Unmoved. He's not doing anything to you. She stared at him. Confused. Offended. Expecting at least a flicker of sympathy. He's just not pretending anymore. And that's when it finally collapsed. The denial. The rationalizations. The cute little rewrites she'd rehearsed in her head. The belief that she could frame herself as the victim in a story she scripted like a joke. Because it hit her all at once. This wasn't some explosive vendetta. This was subtraction. Not revenge, response. Not destruction, release. And she wasn't watching him spiral. She was watching him shed her. Systematically. Effortlessly. As if she were never supposed to be there in the first place. It was early autumn when she saw him again. Golden hour. That hour where everything looks softer than it is. Trees bleeding orange. The lake glassy with late sun. The air just crisp enough to remind you summer's dead. She was driving aimlessly, like she had been for weeks. Hotel to hotel. Friend to stranger to voicemail. Still in denial, though the binder, the revoked deeds, the silent contacts all screamed otherwise. Then she saw him, walking alone along the lakeside path, hands in his coat pockets, dog trotting quietly by his side. No headphones, no rush, just calm. The kind of peace that didn't perform. The kind that grows in the space left behind when bitterness is cleanly removed. Her hands jerked on the steering wheel like they moved before her brain did. She swerved toward the shoulder, slammed into park, and nearly tripped trying to get out. The door thudded shut behind her like a warning she didn't hear. She ran toward him, shoes crunching leaves, voice catching in her throat. Wait! He didn't. Please! She finally reached him, breath ragged, standing 3 feet from a man who once built an entire life around the sound of her laugh. I made a mistake, she gasped. A stupid, awful mistake. I wasn't thinking. I didn't think you'd just erase me like that. He didn't flinch, didn't turn, just looked out at the lake for a moment, then said, You texted me to make me jealous. His voice was low, not cruel, just finished. You forgot who I become. When I feel nothing at all. She felt it in her knees. That moment when you realize it's not about anger, not about punishment. It's about finality. He started walking again. She didn't follow, couldn't, because there was nothing to follow anymore. No thread to pull, No door to knock on. No apology sharp enough to cut through what she'd already destroyed. He never raised his voice, never screamed, never called her names, just vanished one system at a time. Financially, legally, emotionally, until she was left standing in a world she thought she controlled. Alone. She watched him until the curve of the path took him out of sight. And this time, she knew he wasn't coming back, because he hadn't just walked away from her. He'd disappeared the version of himself that needed her at all.